Hi, everybody. Welcome back. My friend today,
It's an
uh,
honor.
thank you. That was the show. It's nice of you to have joined us, and we'll see you again next time. No,
We'll
I'm
see you
kidding.
next time. That was really fun, Mike. And I
Thank
think
you. It
we
must
learned
have.
a lot. We've discovered things about each other that I don't think we even knew about ourselves.
Nobody could have known this. So let me first of all introduce you.
Nobody cared.
My friend, yes, my friend and I have something in common. Actually, we have two things in common. First of all, we were both born in the Bronx, right?
True. True. Pelham
Uh,
Parkway.
where we were born on Pelham Parkway?
Yeah, not on, I wasn't born on the Parkway. I was in
No,
Einstein
in a
Hospital.
in a bed on the Parkway,
It was a gurney, and
a
they wheeled
gurney,
my mother out right on the Parkway, and boom.
and there you were.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was
Where were
born in
you
the
coming
Bronx. So,
from?
so was I. Not the
Where?
same year, but we were both born in the Bronx.
A couple of years apart.
And
Where were you
I was
born?
born at Dr. Left's hospital on the Grand Concourse.
Mm.
So, and I never lived there. I was just born there.
So you
And
were born on a concourse. I was born on a parkway.
yes.
I like that.
What's higher in estimation, parkways or concourses?
Anything you do is higher than anything I do. Just don't even ask stupid questions like that.
I haven't even introduced you yet.
But we're
First
never
of
going
all,
to get to the
we'll
introduction.
get to it. We'll get
We're
to it. No,
two funny people that can't stop talking. You think people want to hear he was born here, he's been on the
yes,
Tonight Show.
yes, be-
Nobody cares.
because I want to make an official introduction of you.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Speaking of the Tonight Show, by
Next,
the way, I'm not
yes.
letting you do it. You know the weirdest thing? Having done the Tonight Show 10 times, which may be in your introduction, and if it's not, it should be. The weirdest thing is that years later, you pick up a phone and it's Jay Leno going, hey, it's me, it's Jay. Hey, Elon, how you doing? Hey, I'm just checking in. And then it's the craziest thing. Don't like when a giant TV icon calls you, isn't it still weird for you?
Well, it's like you're calling me now. It's the same thing.
Right.
By the way, have you seen what I'm wearing?
Sid Gold's Request Room, which is a piano karaoke bar with Broadway tunes. I love that shirt. That's in New York. It's currently unavailable, as is the world.
Yes, but where did I get this shirt? Do you remember?
Because you were kind enough to perform and hang out with us at my father's 80th birthday, you and your lovely wife. But wait a second, we're not done with this important
No,
introduction.
no, no. I haven't introduced you
I
yet.
want to
You
hear my
don't even know who you. Nobody knows who you are yet.
That's true. I'll sit back. I'll
I didn't
shut up.
even mention your name. I didn't
I'll
even
try
mention
to
your
shut up, I
name.
promise.
Okay, he is an American comedian, as you may have guessed, writer, producer, television actor, born in the Bronx. And another thing we have in common: you were raised in Mamaroneck. You went to
Not
school.
technically. I went to school in Mamaroneck in Westchester, and my wife's from Westchester, from Scarsdale. And I sort of was raised there because I met her at 16, and I just spent the rest of my life at her parents' house. Like once I met her, I was like, I'm not going back to the Bronx. And so I was kind of raised in Westchester, yes, for the second part of childhood.
So that's the other thing we have in common because when I came from Israel in 1981 to do Barnum, to star in Barnum on Broadway, my kids were 12 and 8, and they had to go to school. And initially, we put them in a school, a private school in Manhattan, and it was horrible because they were used to freedom in Tel
Right.
Aviv. And then we rented a house in Scarsdale, and they went to school in Scarsdale. So we have that in common as
That's
well.
amazing. But
Yeah.
all I really want to hear about is how you land from Israel and then land a Broadway gig in Barnum. What's that story like?
But that's when you'll interview
Okay,
me.
fine.
Now, I'm not.
That's
I'll
all I'm.
tell you. I'll tell you. We'll schmooze. We got
Yeah,
plenty of
because
time.
I know me. I've lived me. I want to know about you, but okay, go ahead. You're
All
right.
right. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I got to say something else about you.
Nobody
And
cares.
that is that among many other things, you had your own comedy special called Chosen and Taken on Netflix. You
Currently streaming on Amazon Prime. Check
Oh,
that out.
good, good. Crashing with Pete Holmes and Modi.
Yes, with
Uh,
Modi and Judd Apatow on HBO.
right. You starred in your own television series, Stacked.
With Pam Anderson.
Okay. In Laws.
By the way, I just had Steve Levitan on my show because I have one of these too. I have a daily Instagram show. Oh my God, I have to
Oh,
hit Do Not Disturb.
and there is Jay calling you again. Hello, Jay.
Oh, Jay.
Hey, Jay. You
Mike
told
Burstyn. Yeah,
you
Mike's a
told him
good
to
guy.
call me just now. Yeah.
Yeah, come back to Mike. Well, you'll call me later.
Okay.
I put Do Not Disturb on, so that won't happen again. Sorry, but anyway, no. What were we just saying? What were we just talking about?
I was just saying that you were on
Oh,
In-Laws.
oh yeah, that Stacked is a show that Steve Levitan created. Now, I just had Steve on my show. I do this daily Instagram live show called My Funny Quarantine, and
We were just going to talk about that. Yeah.
great, and I interview people, and it's mostly comedians. Everyone from Leno to Howie Mandel, Tiffany Haddish. Every now and then, it's like a comedy writer. I had Judd Apatow on, and
I
just
haven't been on your show.
I've invited you several times. You reject me, so that's why I'm doing your show, so that one day you will be finally say yes.
Not true. Not true. He never invited me.
It's an
Only
open
these big
invite.
shots.
It's an open
Okay.
invite. So wait, so then the craziest thing is that Levitan, because you mentioned Stack, was just on yesterday, and what's not the craziest thing, but I told him in my introduction, as you're introducing me, because it's reminding me of your introduction.
Oh, by the way, his name is Elon Gold. I forgot to tell you that. I still haven't introduced you. It's Elon Gold. Just in case you're interested, by the end of this conversation,
Yeah.
you'll say, "Wait a minute, who was that?"
That's why
So
introduction is
okay.
so important. So I said to Steve Levitan, my guest today created Modern Family and a sitcom I did, Stacked, on Fox, which went like a season and a half, and I said, so my guest today, I was 2 sitcoms shy away from his
Away.
gigantic hit. And that's all you needed to know. People don't care about me and my credits. We should just talk.
Look, it's all about timing.
Yeah, it's true.
Timing is
Timing is
everything in life and your career. I'll tell
Timing.
you, you know the story about John Barrymore when he was asked, he was being interviewed,
Mhm.
and I'll be John Barrymore, and you ask me, Mr. Barrymore, what's the secret of your success? Go ahead.
Can I be Jay
Timing.
Leno? Oh, that way you didn't let me do it. I wanted to go. Let's try it again, but I'll be Jay Leno. Mr. Barrymore, what is the
Timing.
secret? Here you go.
So wait a minute, I haven't finished yet. Okay, we got to In-Laws, The Next Best Thing, Cheaper by the Dozen, Oprah Winfrey
I had like
Show.
4 lines in Cheaper by the This is
That's okay.
so
And
important.
anyway, my dear friend is now on my show, and his name is Elon Gold.
Hi, everybody.
And first
We're
of
12
all,
minutes in already, and we haven't accomplished even an intro.
well, first of all, we are doing this. We would have done this in person, but as you know, this is today actually is an upsurge in the
Yes.
coronavirus epidemic here in the United States, and that's
Especially
why
with
it is very serious. How are you coping? How has it been affecting your
So
family,
that is
your
an
daily
excellent
routine?
first question because it's a dilemma that I'm currently going through, and it's minute to minute, big decision making time, and maybe you can weigh in. I wish you also had viewers watching live because I'd love their opinions too, but it only matters what you say.
Well, it's going to be on my YouTube channel.
Right, but I can't see those comments coming in as in real
Right.
time, which is
Yeah.
what I need now. I need opinions, but I'll just take yours for now.
Okay.
So, as you know, I have a house usually of 6. It's me, my wife, and 4 kids. It is now day 109 where my house doubled to a house of 12 because my parents, who love you dearly, and we'll get to them in a second, but first the dilemma. My parents showed up on like March 6th for my son's bar mitzvah, which turned into a canceled shul and just backyard, whatever, which I invited you to. But then we had a little party, Saturday night, and I went.
He didn't invite me.
You know that's not true. And I invited you and your wife, and I said, you know what? I can't. I don't think it's a good idea to on Friday. I said I don't think it's a good idea to have anyone,
Right.
and I canceled the whole thing. This was early on, and then my brother-in-law, his wife, and their 2 kids also showed up, hence the 12. Day 109, they have not left. Now, I love that they're here. It's great. They have adorable kids. My parents are adorable. And no, it really is this nice time where we're spending this time together that we never would have spent this amount, this much real, like, quality time together. And my parents are every couple of weeks ago, we should get back to New York. I'm like, really? I don't think so. And just flying there. Finally, 2 weeks ago, they went, all right, we're booking flights. So they booked last Monday. And I look at your face. Your face says it all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They booked last Monday. I went, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like this. Push it. They pushed it off because they want to get back. I told them, you stay forever. I don't care. They have a nice little thing in the Catskills with some other friends in the community. But at least that's not Manhattan, but it's, it's outdoors. It's summertime. They book it for this Monday in literally in 3 days. And I wake up like yesterday to like biggest surge, biggest amount of deaths, highest deaths, da da da. And I go, you're not going anywhere. Then this morning, I'm on a chat with 4 doctor friends of mine. And I say, what's your take? And they're like, just don't let them get on a plane. Don't let them, why would you want to do that? Plus, when they're in New York, they're alone. So now they're older and they're shopping by themselves and they're getting everything by themselves. They're in this comfort and in this bubble. They call it Gan Eden here.
What's the rush?
Right?
What's the
My
rush?
father's like, well, I've got bills I've been neglecting. I'm like, bills? Who's paying bills nowadays? And he just, I don't know, they want to get back. They love it here and we love having them here, but they just probably want to get back to normal. But there's nothing normal out there anyway to get back to. And so I'm now in this, I have to cancel Monday again. I got to cancel their flights. You wouldn't let them go, would you?
Look, we have to realize that we are living in a new world.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about, paying bills in New York and all that stuff is great. But if we don't start living
Right.
in a new reality, forget about what we had before. It's never going to come back.
Right.
This is not going away soon. It's a marathon. It's not a race.
Yeah.
And if they are comfortable here, they have their comfort.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not exactly locked up in some, closed environment.
They have their own room, their own bathroom.
Yeah, and you have a lovely backyard.
Right.
Why chance it?
Right.
And they're not, young kids anymore.
Right.
At our age, Siona, my wife, and I, we had our annual physical a couple of weeks ago, and everything, thank God, is normal. We've been very careful since mid-March. We haven't, done anything irresponsible. The only thing is I can't hug my grandkids, and that's the frustrating thing. But the doctor said to me, because my birthday is next week, I'm going to be 75.
75. Like I said, my parents are much older than you. They're in their 80s. You're even at a lower risk factor, but you're still in the risk group.
You know what the doctor said to me? Because I said, I'd love to have it's a milestone.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to have my kids and grandkids in some environment, social distancing, and try to have a party. My doctor said to me, listen to me.
Right.
God forbid, if you get this disease, this virus, you will die.
Wow. That's no fun.
No. Tell your father what my doctor said to me. And if that doesn't wake you up, and there's no rush, let's wait. Eventually, something will come along, and at least there'll be something to avoid death. Let's say we get it and we get sick, but we won't die from it.
And that's what they're just saying. Just yesterday, I was listening to a doctor on Howard Stern, and he was saying that by the end of the summer, the medicines are going to be so advanced that, it's not even about the vaccine, which he said is also looking very good. And they're currently testing on humans finally in Brazil and in other places in the world. And by the end of the summer, and if they have to spend the summer here, why not? And they love it. They are having a great time with their grandchildren, with all of us, and it's like, plus they're characters on my show. I can't just lose my main character.
Do me a favor. Tell Dad, I spoke to them just about a week ago. We were on FaceTime.
Kind enough again to call him FaceTime on the birthday.
Listen, you tell him, please, you've got such a wonderful family here. The environment is great. And don't forget, right now, California is seeing an upsurge in cases.
Right.
You go to an airport, God forbid, you don't know
Just the
who
air.
may give it to you. It's
Yep.
not a matter of protecting, yourself. Somebody out there might just sneeze on you in an airplane.
Right.
God, you know,
By the way, also, who's gonna protect and look after me? Because certainly not my wife. I'll give you the perfect example. Okay. My parents always looking out for me, right? Wife,
this is the wife that you've known since you were 16 years old,
correct,
and
married.
she's not. I know your wife.
Yeah, married 26 years, but she's not going to do what your parents will do for you. For example, before this interview, they were very excited. I'm going on your show, and they were like, "Well, you need to keep your, throat lubricated." And yeah, they were giving me this whole thing, and literally, yes, you don't want to dry mouth, wet your. Literally, I come to the office, and this is sitting on my desk. Look at this. Of course, wrapped in tinfoil because that's what Jews do. We love tinfoil. We're obsessed with tinfoil. But in
What's
it
this?
are little peels of orange,
Oranges.
grapefruit.
Oh,
Keep your voice. So I'm just going to, just to make them happy, I'm just going to do one of these. Mmm.
mm.
Mmm. I'm so lubricated right now.
Wait a minute. I'm going to lubricate too.
Please.
Little Gatorade here,
It's
L'chaim.
L'chaim, and I'm still on the iced coffee at 2:40 in the afternoon.
Oh, well, listen. Please give him my
I
best,
will.
mom and dad,
Thank you.
and tell
Enough
them.
about them. Let's get back to us.
Let's get back to us. All right. How is it affecting career-wise? I don't
It's
even have
over.
to ask because I know, and all your friends and people in our industry. That's what really concerns me. I just had an interview before yours with Manny Eisenberg, one of the
Mhm.
greatest producers
Yes,
ever,
a
uh,
legend.
legendary producer,
I mean, he's no me, but he's a legend.
also born in the Bronx, by the way.
Wow.
And we were talking about the effect that it's having on people in our industry, especially young people, the
Mhm,
kids who are trying to make it in show
mhm,
business.
mhm.
And usually, if they, were waiting for the big break, they had other opportunities to wait on tables or work in
Correct.
bars. That's gone as well.
It's
And they are the ones that are in such dire straits. And I'm sure that stand up people as well, they have nowhere to perform. What's happening? What's going to,
so many comedians. There are the young comedians that you were
right?
just talking about.
Yeah,
The spectrum goes to, friends that I have that are multi-millionaires,
they
and
can take care of
they
themselves.
can just relax for a
Right.
year now, and they don't have to worry about it. And then there's me right in the middle. So the me where I'm not, destitute and completely freaking out, and how am I going to pay my mortgage? But I'm also not the millionaire comedian just yet. You just wait, folks. I'm at a level of I'm not freaking out, but I'm nervous. And luckily, because the world, no matter what's going on in the world wants to laugh. You know that. The world wants to be entertained. There's never a time from the Great Depression, World War II, there's never a time when comedy dies,
It's
okay?
it's essential. It's
Essential.
essential.
So I'm getting, guys like me, Modi, we're getting all these offers, paid gigs. The new paid gigs is this, not obviously not this interview, but when we do shows for, by the way, I will send you an invoice for this. When we do shows, it's a small fee. It's a nominal fee. It's an appearance fee. It's like one of
Right.
those SAG Guild minimum,
Yeah, SAG minimum.
I
Right.
mean, you're taking a lot of my precious time. I've got so much going on.
Yes,
Um, but anyway, so
but
I'm doing
send it to me in Hebrew, in shkalim, in shekels.
fine,
I'll pay you in shekels.
but it's going to be thousands of checks. So I'm doing a lot of these Zoom shows, and it's also for organizations like, everything from JNF, UJA, little shul, little corporate companies are hiring me. If they want to have now a company, let's all relax and laugh for a half hour, an hour. There's the Zoom. And it's just like, you know, these shows, which are a fraction of my real live appearance fee, but still, it's still money in the bank. These shows are keeping me afloat financially, and then mentally, just to keep my sanity, like you're doing, I'm doing this daily Instagram show. And that not only helps me just stay focused, it flexes my comedy muscle. Every day I'm doing jokes, I have a little monologue, and then I interview comedians and we riff. So that is not only for my own, sake and sanity, it's also gives me something to really focus on and work on, so I don't just, my first thought when this went down was like, oh, you're going to be home now for the next few weeks. Remember, they thought it was a few weeks. I went, great. I'm going to catch up on every TV show I haven't seen Breaking Bad. I haven't seen a Game of Thrones. I haven't seen anything.
We'll binge watch. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to binge watch. Why
Good.
not? Running around the planes every other day. I'm going to binge watch. By day 2, I was like, I can't do this. I got to keep going. I got to keep moving forward. And I can't get lazy. You get lazy. My main concern for this whole country, not only me, is we're experiencing so much laziness now and so much like just hanging out and watching TV that getting back to work, it's like, who's going to want to get back to work other than the people that absolutely have to for sustenance and to feed their family, but which, by the way, is obviously 98% of the world. But even those people who have to will still now just be less inclined and motivated, and will be so used to this new lazy lifestyle that maybe they will, rely on checks from the government or unemployment. Well, I'm getting paid unemployment almost as much, if not more, as my last horrible job. Maybe I'll just stay unemployed. And it's just fostering the opposite of being motivated and hard work. And I get that. So I didn't want to fall into that trap. It's also why I shouldn't say never, but didn't smoke weed in my 20s, 30s, and most of my 40s before I started saying, I should at least try it. But anyway, you know why? Because I knew that weed would make me lazy. And weed just makes you so chill and relaxed that, I'm a guy that I need something, I need something to focus on. And that's why, again, back to this show, that was a long tangent. This show keeps me focused. Whereas I have a gig in Toronto in 3 days, I better focus on that. I start working on that, whatever, and I'm preparing, and then I go and I do it. Without a goal, an end game, even daily.
Incentive,
all that stuff. And I'm a kind of guy that if there isn't a deadline, I'm a procrastinator. If there's nothing to work towards, I ain't working.
well, you see, that's the problem in our industry, especially. Just a minute, this microphone fell down. First of all, it must be weird doing these shows and not hearing the audience response. I mean, you tell
Correct.
a joke and nobody's laughing. Woo, what's going on?
But there are two kinds of shows I'm doing on these Zooms. One is what you just described, where I'm just holding and waiting and hoping
For
and
the laugh. Yeah.
hoping. I can't hear them, but I used to get laughs. Or if it's new stuff, I have no idea if it's getting a laugh. I can't test it anywhere. But that's one kind. The other kind of Zoom was there are actual people. And in
Yes,
a
right.
gallery view, I've seen, you've done this too,
Yeah.
where you see like 100 people and you could go through the pages and you hear laughs. And that is like, oh, I remember those.
It's the new reality, and maybe that's the way, we're reaching so many more people than we ever could have
Yeah.
in individual venues. But I agree with you completely, both as an actor and as a comedian.
Mhm.
We're not like other professions. A shoemaker, if he's not working in his store, he can sit at home and he can, create a shoe. A watchmaker can work on his watch. But
Mhm.
an actor or an entertainer, if he's not acting or entertaining, he's a nothing. I
Correct.
mean, that's what makes us who we are. So
Right.
we need that incentive. We need that, something in our calendar to know we
Yes.
have something to get up for. Otherwise, there's going to be a mindset, like you mentioned, and
Mhm.
that's the danger. That
Mhm.
mindset should come in now that, oh, hey, we did this while the pandemic was on. What's the big deal? We'll just start a new kind of way
Mhm.
of life. And
Right.
that's lethargy and
Yes.
laziness, and
Yes.
that can affect the future
By
generations.
the way, the flip side of that, though, is people who really do care about their careers, and are, constantly inspired to work and be productive, the working from home thing is working for a lot of people. So I think now there's going to be this shift where it's like, well, maybe we come into the office, even if everything's fine, 3, 4 days a week instead of 5, 6 days a week, which some people do. Maybe we do work from home and we're still productive and working hard. And there'll be a shift because people are doing very well who can, not like you and me, who can work at home. People are doing well with that and they're loving it. They're loving not wearing pants. They're loving to see their kids take a break and there's their kids. What? You disagree?
No. I think it's a sad a
Well, I
comment.
don't think that's sad. I don't think it's sad
Are
that
you wearing pants right now?
no. I don't think it's
I think that's sad that you don't even bother to put on a pair of pants.
first of all, I am wearing pants.
Sit down, sit down.
But no, what I mean is, yes, I know what you mean. And dressing up. Look, listen, I
haven't worn a suit since January. I have a jacket and this.
You're going against your own smart advice that you said 14 seconds ago. It's sad to not get dressed up. That's why every day on my show, I put on a tie and jacket and shirt because I do want that feeling of I'm getting dressed up. I'm at work. This is important. I want the audience to know I think it's important and I want to feel it. You clearly in that schmata.
So you'll wear a tie and dress up for your own show, but you won't do it for my show.
Look what you're wearing, Mike. Look,
I'm wearing.
I am so much
my wife, Tsiona, said to me, "If you're gonna do this schmooze with Elon, why not wear?" She just washed it.
Yes.
Look, she just washed it, and I. By the way, I sleep in this. It's so soft. It's lovely.
You know what's interesting?
Because I did it in honor of you.
Well, because of you, in honor of you, and out of respect for you. I would now we're doing Jackie Basin, the place and a show to be in a suit. Anyway, in honor of you, I was walking around in this nice blue T-shirt all morning, walking around and I went, I'm going on Mike's show,
and I'm going to add a shirt.
I'm going to put a nice button-down blue shirt. But you said, I'm having Elon on. I'll wear a T-shirt.
Not just any old T-shirt. Excuse me.
You're right. My father's. Okay, you're right.
That's right. That's the
calendar. You know what flashed through my head? You ever see that great Joan Rivers documentary?
I don't think so.
If it wasn't Shabbos, I would force you to watch it tonight.
Okay.
But watch it tomorrow night. It is, just forgot the title, but just Google Joan Rivers documentary. It is fascinating, and you'll relate to it on so many levels. But there's one point in the documentary where she takes out her calendar and she shows like even an empty week. And she goes, this is what we fear most.
Yeah.
This emptiness and the nothing. So that's why if your calendar's empty on gigs and trips and whatever, you fill it with other things like what we're doing and these Zoom shows and anything else. But we all have to stay active and stretch our comedy muscles, use our talent. God gave us these talents, and I don't know about you, but he gave me a lot of talent.
Oh yeah, no, we know that. Speaking of Shabbos, we're not there yet, but we're coming up on Shabbos, and I want to talk about something that is very important to you, and I admire you for, is the work you do for charity, especially for a lot of Jewish charities, and your connection to Israel.
Oh my God. Before we get to that, because I love talking about Israel because it is, the love of my life, besides the wife and kids and you, Mike.
You put the wife and kids before me?
I meant Mike B.
Yes.
Kids.
Yes. No, because in Hebrew we write from right to left.
That's funny.
So I shouldn't have been on the left side. I'm on the right side.
Speaking of the great Mike Burstyn, and then we'll get to the story I wanted to tell about, because I thought your question was going to Shabbos. You started with Shabbos and you went to Israel, that how important Shabbos is to me. So let's get to the Shabbos thing, then we got to get to the Israel thing. But first, Speaking of the great legend Mike Burstyn and my parents, very upset for my dad's birthday when you were nice enough to call. and for Father's Day, so I got him all these books. He's obsessed with Broadway. That's why he's a huge fan of yours, and musicals and all that thing. You know, there's I don't want to say it's a rumor, but there's a possibility that Dad's gay. But anyway,
I knew where you were going with this.
you knew it. You knew it.
I'm going to show him this show, and then he'll really get on a plane.
Running joke. It's a no. Him and Mom claim to still be very active. Just hopefully not in my house. But anyway, so no, he's not. But you know, obsessed with musicals like any good gay man would be. Yeah. And he is just like, I mean, it's his like last night till 2 a.m. I come back into the house. He's sitting there watching Judy Garland and singing along with her on A Star Is Born on TV. And just like blissfully, like, like, okay. So anyway, so he is, you know, obsessed with Broadway. I buy him this book, a few books. One of them was Jews on Broadway. You ever read it?
No, but we just did a Zoom meeting about what influence Jews had on Broadway. So I know what you're talking about.
That's gigantic. I mean, gigantic, as they did on the film industry. You know, I have a joke in my act that say, I love that stereotype, the Jews control Hollywood. You know, first of all, right now in its current date, that's not true. Hollywood isn't controlled by any one entity or people or anything. But even if it were true, so what? We started Hollywood. The Warner Brothers, the Louis B. Mayers, they all were, they pioneered the film industry. They moved out west, open studios, and they did. Why shouldn't they run it if they start? That's like saying, you know, the blacks control rap music. Yeah, they should. They started it, you know. And then the joke is, I mean, sure, it would probably do a lot better if they let the Jews run it. You know, I'm sure there'd be no more free downloads, and the books are probably a mess. But the point is, I'm still doing racial humor, folks, even in these times, because I love the black people. I'm with the black people. But anyway, so my point is, he gets this book, Jews on Broadway. He's so excited, page by page, he's loving it. And then all of a sudden something upsets him. You don't want to get Sid Gold upset. What is he upset about? Why the damn hell is it Mike Burstyn, who was one of the great Broadway actors, Jewish, in this book? I'm telling you, we almost had a book burning in my house. And don't you hate that when someone's doing a topic like Jews on Broadway? It's just the most disrespectful thing. And it's also bad journalism. It's bad writing to leave out one of the great Jews on Broadway. So he's still angry about it.
You just confirmed it. He is gay.
Because he's in love with you.
You just confirmed it. But as long as he is, what is it called?
Here's my point.
Just me. I don't want him to be involved in any other Jewish entertainer. Just me. Tell him that.
Find that author, and I want you to say, hey, go to IMDb and call me later. It's like, you know, look me up. Like, it's bad writing when you're missing out a big piece of Jews on Broadway. That's not good writing.
Well, look, I starred in Barnum on Broadway, and I played Phineas Taylor Barnum. So he probably thought that I was Irish, you know. He didn't know that I was Jewish. He didn't realize that. Speaking of Shabbos, and I know, but not everybody knows how traditional you are. You come from.
I literally can't wait.
Yeah, you come from an Orthodox, modern Orthodox family.
You know my joke about that, right, Mike?
Please, no, I want to hear it.
That after all these years of being modern Orthodox, I finally figured out what the modern means in modern Orthodox. It means not so. It's the nicer way of saying, I'm not so Orthodox.
Semi,
right.
Semi.
It'd be great if there are other areas in life where you have the nicer way of saying things, right? Like you go on a blind date. What's she like? Oh, she's very smart and she's funny. What does she look like? She's modern, pretty. But anyway, so yeah, I love Shabbos. I keep Shabbos. And speaking of Steve Levitan, the creator of Modern Family, when I did that sitcom Stacked with him, it's such a great, and I'll tell you the quick version of the story. because I reminded him of it. When I went in for the callback for Steve, it was Friday afternoon, the clock was ticking. And he goes, listen, tomorrow's the screen test. And I explained to him I'm observant because I never call myself religious. You know, I don't like that word. It's too much pressure on me. Oh, you're religious? Then you have to be the gold standard of all religion. You have to represent and everything you do and say. And, you know, sometimes you see my act, it gets a bit schmutzy. But anyway, so I don't call myself religious, you know. I say my rabbi is religious. You know, my Zaidi was my Zaidi was so religious, he had 2 toilets, one for meat, one for dairy. Yeah, you don't see that kind of commitment. But I said, listen,
we got to end on that.
We should. No, we should. We'll end on Israel.
Yeah.
But you know, I used the word observant, and I'm a Sabbath observer. And he was very respectful, and he goes, well, it's tomorrow morning, so why don't we put you on tape? We'll put you on tape. I'll go and show the tape to the Fox executives, and you don't have to be there. I'm like, great. We got it on tape, 10 a.m. Saturday morning. I'm in shul. He's at Fox. There's Gail Berman, the president of Fox, sitting in a big, you know, screening room with a giant screen and, you know, 20, 30 executives. And Steve Levitan comes up there and goes, Elon apologizes. He could not be here today because he's observant, but we put him on tape yesterday. We're going to now play the tape. We have 2 scenes for you. They play one scene. I heard it got big laughs. Everything went very well. And then Steve said, looked at Gail Berman, the president of Fox, said, would you like to see the second scene? And she said, no, you had me at observant.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Isn't that nice? And then they switched the schedule, which most sitcoms tape on a Friday night in front of a live audience.
Wow.
Switched it to Thursday night for me. So I got to keep my Shabbos. So that's how important Shabbos is to me. And I just love it. I feel bad for people who don't have Shabbos in their lives. I really think the world could use a Shabbos. When my kids get off their phones and their Xboxes and everything, and we actually hang out and talk, and, you know, we play ping pong or code names, these word games, you know, and we just read and hang out. There's nothing like it. And the other 6 days a week, I don't even know them.
You know, what you just mentioned is very interesting and a credit to Berman, but I had an experience just the opposite. And it just shows you. In 1973, I was here in Los Angeles. I flew in to open a Israeli nightclub on Fairfax. They brought me over with my family.
Fun.
And at the time, I had just met a wonderful producer. He's not alive anymore, Danny Arnold. Danny Arnold had just written, and it was about to produce the pilot of Barney Miller.
Wow.
Okay, 1973.
Wow.
And he was taken with me, and he said, I want you to audition. I will do an audition tape for the young, a young attorney in the original pilot. There was a young man who was an attorney, and he was courting Barney's daughter.
Wow.
And I was like 24 years old or something like that. And he put me on tape. We did an audition. And unfortunately, when it came back, he had to submit 2 sets of candidates to ABC.
Right.
2 lists of candidates for the different roles. And the vice president of ABC, Jewish vice president of ABC, said, I look too Jewish. And I didn't get the part. They gave it to an actor who looked a little bit like James Caan. You could be a James Caan-looking Jew,
but you can't tell.
So it's just the opposite of the credit that you gave. Right. This was a Jewish. So we have some of our own, club members that hate themselves.
Yes, okay? A lot of self-hating out there. A lot of self-hating. And here's the craziest part. He was wrong. Even as terrible as that is, if you did really look Jewish, he was wrong. You don't even look that Jewish. I look so much more Jewish than you. Like, you could pass for Irish. You could pass for Italian easily. In fact, you look more Italian than Jewish.
Yeah, well, that could have changed my, my life, but
it's unbelievable that one idiot, self-hating idiot.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Just that whole.
And and Danny,
don't worry about it.
Danny and I remained friends for his life. He did so many great things. Barney Miller was a huge hit,
Mhm.
but he couldn't risk not, getting the show on,
Wow.
and so life goes. Just want to ask you something that I read, and this is very moving, that you once had, as an observant Jew, as you say, you had an anti-Semitic incident that you
Yes.
wrote about once, walking home from a Shabbos dinner here in Los Angeles.
Yes. Around the
Tell,
corner.
do you mind talking about it?
No, I don't mind at all. But I don't want to bore people or bring the room down too much. We're trying to have fun, Mike. But just
Oh, is that what we're doing?
the basic story, and people should Google the article. You just have to Google Elon Gold hate incident. Don't Google Elon Gold hate, or it'll just be like a lot of people going, yeah, I hate him.
I hate him.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And but yeah, we were coming home from Friday night dinner, and in our Shabbos finest, and wearing yarmulkes, and just a car pulled up. Now this is during the Gaza conflict, summer of I think 2014. So
Right.
there's like a real actual war going on in Israel. As always, not started by Israel. As always, a defensive war where they're trying to wipe us all out with their rockets, and we're finally fighting back. And thank you, IDF, by the way. And so this war is going on, and there are obviously casualties on both sides. And a car pulls up, Middle Eastern men, four of them. One gets out of his car, steps onto the street. We all just stop in our tracks, and he starts yelling. And I'm with my like little kids at the time, my whole family. And he starts yelling, "I hope your children die, just like you're killing children in Gaza." And I just like stood there frozen. In my mind, I'm going, yeah, first of all, I haven't killed anybody. Second of all, how is this going to go down now? Is he going to attack? What do I do? And I just sort of stood my ground. Luckily, the light turned green. He got back in the car and they drove off. But my kids were just, oh my God, they fell apart, like crying, nervous. Is he really going to kill us? Is he going to follow us home? Where home is a few blocks away. And we're like, no. So we called the police. They came and said, listen, these guys are just bullies. They're never going to come over. They don't know where you live. They're not going to do anything to you. They just wanted to yell at you because they're bullies. And, for me, the reason I wrote that piece was not to tell that story, although it was a groundbreaking incident for Jews in Los Angeles, because while we all experience every, now and then a rare case of anti-Semitism, it wasn't that blatantly full of hate and I hope you die and that intimidation, and we really thought we could get killed at that moment. That was like a first in Los Angeles, and that's why I wanted to tell the story like, attention Jews, this is now happening here, and we have to be aware and we have to be careful and vigilant and know that this could happen to you. It just happened to me. But the main reason I wrote that story, and if you read the article, it's only a little bit about the story. The rest of the article is my own little case for Israel at the time, and explaining how, the old sayings, if they put their guns down, there'd be no war. If we put our guns down, there'd be no Jew.
No Israel. Yeah.
Right. No Israel, no nothing. And how it's always defensive, 48, 67. Every war is just our surrounding fun neighbors trying to just wipe us out, and we're defending ourselves, and miraculously we win. Thank God. And it's just, why is my family also becoming these victims of this hate incident? And I heard from the police explain to us that it wasn't a hate crime, it was a hate incident. A hate crime is when they actually either hurt you physically or threaten to hurt you. He was just hoping we would die. He was
That you
like, I
would
hope
die.
someone else does it. Yeah.
He didn't say, I'm going to kill you, but
I'm going to kill you. I hope. He wished it upon us. Anyway, it was so nice of him to not do it himself. He was just praying and hoping. So anyway, it was an incident, and that all of Jews should not be, accountable for any casualties of war in Israel. And it's like, even as a major, gigantic supporter of Israel, just because I support Israel, that doesn't mean that every move and every accident, because the only difference between the IDF and Hamas is the casualties of wars on their side are accidents, are casualties of wars, and they're actually aiming for women and children and civilians. And I mean, if any IDF soldier aimed for any innocent person, they'd be in prison. If you do it on the other side, you get a statue, and you get payments for the rest of your life. So I was trying to make this little case of like, how could they now just blame all Jews? And it's the basic thing of, if you're anti-Israel, you are anti-Semitic. It really is that they just hated us because we were Jews. If this was 2 months ago, before this Gaza conflict, they would still hate us. They just wouldn't be emboldened to get out of their car and yell at us. Now they were all like, and we got babies dying over there. Well, then stop trying to kill our babies, and no babies will die.
Well, as you know, and as we all know, it's an illness. It's a sickness. Anti-Semitism is a sickness. But for me, the message, the reason I wanted to bring this up, is the message from your story is we cannot be complacent.
Right.
The Jews anywhere. And
right.
The surprise was that it happened right here in Los Angeles.
Right.
And walking home from, shul, that the message is, you might think that it can't happen here.
Right.
But please don't be complacent.
It's right. Like and that's why I'm like behind the Black Lives Matter movement, in the sense that blacks and Jews share this commonality of being oppressed, enslaved, persecuted, murdered. All this stuff what bothers me, though, is that there are a couple of leaders, it's not the entire, that are anti-Israel and are somehow conflating the Israel-Palestine thing with the cops and black people, police brutality, which is, you can't compare the two ever. And I'm so for black people having everything they want in equality and their rights, and end this police brutality and all that. But I can't stand that there's even one leader, that's in this movement. It really bothers me, because I want to champion the movement too. I want to see change. And then there's people going, well, we hope you die too. And I'm like, no. Remember Martin Luther King? And then there's the rabbi marching with him. We're in solidarity. We're in this together. Why are you going against us, against Israel? But again, that's just someone who hates. That's just someone who's a hateful person.
So, as you
see, about Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah, as you see, my friends who are watching this, normally Elon Gold is the funniest guy around. He is, and he's not only funny.
Not true.
He is
one of the top.
He is original, which to me is the most compliment. Every time I see him, he is so original and timely.
So you're always, speaking of supporters of Israel, because I'm very involved in Stand With Us, an incredible pro-Israel advocacy group, and I MC their event, and you're always there, and you're always supportive of Israel and of me, and I appreciate that, and I thank you for that.
Well, look, as a child, I came to Israel when I was 8 years old. I've been, working in Israel all my life. I served in the IDF. During the 6-Day War. So I'm both Israeli and American. When I'm in Israel, I'm an Israeli. When I'm here, I'm an American.
By the way, you're better off doing the opposite. When you're in Israel, you should be an American. And they'll treat you better. Oh, he's just another Israeli. Oh, he's American. Welcome. Come on in.
I hate to, sum this up, and it's really been a pleasure, but you have to go to shul. And I don't want to, I don't want you.
If only there was a shul. You know what's funny, Mike? Another reason to keep my parents here. We turned this back office into two things, a studio and a shul. Every Shabbos, we all come in here and we do the full davening. I literally read from a tikkun. I lane a little of the parsha, my son does a Haftorah. I lead it's like we turn this into a shul. And what you're not noticing, speaking of this office, is my strategically placed Sfarim.
Usually you see these people with these libraries behind them.
Right. That's very important. Look how well read I am and learned. And look how connected I am. There's me and Steven Spielberg. You didn't even notice this. I had to point it out myself.
Which one is you? Isn't that me in the middle between the two of you? No.
Yes, that's you, me, and Spielberg.
Yes. No,
By the way,
listen.
another common friend we both have, Nancy.
Yeah, of
Spielberg,
course.
the
But you
best.
know, that guy that insulted you is very disappointed. He's been waiting on the way to the shul, and you haven't shown up for 3 months.
You
So,
mean the guys who yelled at us?
yes, you know, the fact that you're not even going to shul, and he's been
Imagine,
waiting there.
imagine them in my backyard yelling, "I hope you die!" Like, wait a minute, how'd you get back here? No, but this is. By the way, speaking of Nancy Spielberg, if go watch. I'm not telling you. I'm telling your audience. Go watch all of her amazing documentaries.
Documentaries, yes,
Oh my God,
definitely.
it's the one
Yeah.
about the Israeli Air Force, how it was formed above and beyond. I mean,
The volunteers that came, yes, yeah.
everything she does is amazing. It's like a brother. It runs in the family.
Look, I
And
want
by
to
the way,
ask.
for the record, I'm not kissing up. That family's done nothing for my career.
Well, look what they've done for mine. Elon, one other thing before we go, I always ask my friends, if I were to ask you of one individual and one person
Mhm.
that inspired your life,
Mhm.
who would it be?
If I could pick one, I would say Billy Crystal, but it's almost a tie between Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy.
But
Because,
that's your professional life.
oh, I thought you meant inspire my career.
Well, okay, that's fine. Your career, that's one thing. What about you as Elon Gold? When
It would probably be the namesake of your T-shirt, Dad. I just followed him as a dad, as a husband. He just inspired me to just be a great, a good person and just to care about people. My parents spent their lives educating these inner city kids in the South Bronx. They're teachers, and they were just never like about, themselves. They don't get me wrong. They're selfish in many ways. They love to just go to Broadway shows all the time. They love taking care of themselves too, but they're also selfless in so many other ways, like dedicating their lives to educating children, like what they did for their families. Like they couldn't afford to go to the Catskills in the summer, so they'd go work at these hotels, the Pines, all these hotels, and so that we could all as a family be out in the country, out of the Bronx. So I guess, yeah, definitely just following in his footsteps. That's why I'm not letting him go home.
And that's how children learn, by example. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the best example you could have given. And many people that I asked that question about, the only one who once gave me a different answer was Zubin Mehta. When I asked him that, I interviewed him in Israel, and he said it was Mahatma Gandhi
Mm.
that inspired his life, because he brought about a independence and a revolution without violence, a
Mm-hmm.
nonviolent revolution, and even Martin Luther King was inspired by Gandhi.
Absolutely. That's why Martin Luther King is one of my heroes,
Yeah,
because like he wanted equality. He wanted, you know, peace, equal rights. He didn't say, and then let's get the white people. That's like the opposite of Hamas and everything that's going on over there. If only they wanted equality and equal rights, they'd have it in 2 seconds. They'd have a
sure.
state, which was offered to them 100 times. They'd have everything they wanted. Unfortunately, they're the opposite of the great Dr. King. They want the leadership, I'm talking, not obviously all Palestinians. They want us out of there and dead. And well, you're not going to get what you want ever.
It's like the famous Abba Eban comment about the Palestinians. They never lose an opportunity to
Miss.
lose an opportunity.
Right. It's miss, I believe.
Myth,
It's
yeah.
miss an opportunity to miss
Yeah,
an
miss
yeah,
an opportunity.
yeah, it's so right. It's so well. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope Hamas is not their leadership anymore. You just need one good leader to sort of change the course of history
Yep.
of two people living side by side in peace. And let's
Yep.
hope and pray for that. Let's hope for the end of this little virus that's going on. You hear about this virus?
No, but I think we also need a leader here as well,
Yes,
not
he
just in
needs to.
Israel.
I mean, if only he would just say, everyone wear masks, this thing would die down to. Why can't he just get up and go, listen, everybody, put your masks on? It's science that if everyone's wearing it, blocks it, and the virus has to live by jumping from person to person. It dies if it doesn't do that.
The reason is what my Tziona says, it
Mhm.
will spoil his makeup.
I love her.
It
That is
spoils his makeup. He can't put on a mask, and then
like
the
the orange
makeup
makeup will start, yeah, coming off, and then
makeup
it'll
will
come
come
mask on.
off.
Yes,
That's the problem.
love
My
that.
my dear Elon, it has been a pleasure. I really love you,
Love you.
and just to hear the Menschlichkeit of you, not just the jokester, which you are great at, but I like to get to the mensch behind the
I
stand-up
try. I'm
comedian.
good at faking it.
Yeah. Don't forget to send me that invoice in
Yes, yes.
shkalim.
No, my accounting department's writing it up now, and I think we just went over an hour, so we'll be charged for a 2 hour.
Oh,
I think
really? I didn't time it. Oh boy.
it'll be a 2 hour charge by the
Over
end.
to overtime.
There's an overtime
There's an
charge.
overtime
Yes,
charge.
yes,
Okay. And I leave you with my motto that I always leave in the show: Carpe diem. You know what it means?
of course. Seize the day.
Seize the day. So
Great.
let's
Love
do that.
that.
Love
Love it.
you.
Thank you, Mike. Good Shabbos.
Thank you. Good Shabbos. Thank you,
Good.
folks.
Thanks. All right, Mike. I'll call you.